Welcome, the spicy ladies. Have you ever wondered why some women just don't think like the rest? While everyone else is chasing the same goals or repeating the same patterns, she's off in her own lane, thinking differently, acting with intention, and responding in ways that catch people off guard. This is the Sigma female. And no, she didn't learn this from books or follow some trend online. This is how her mind has always worked. Her brain is built differently. She processes things on a level most people don't even reach. She notices what others miss. She questions what others accept. And she doesn't need a spotlight to prove her worth. Her presence is felt in how deeply she thinks and how clearly she sees through the noise. What makes her so unique isn't just what she does. It's how she thinks. While most people are reacting, she's observing. While others jump to conclusions, she's quietly connecting the dots. She's not fast to speak, but when she does, her words carry weight because they come from reflection, not impulse. If you've ever felt like your brain just works in a more layered, more precise, more intense way, this might be why. You're not weird. You're wired differently. And that difference is your strength. This isn't about labels. It's about understanding yourself better. Because once you understand how your mind is built, you stop doubting it and you start using it to build a life that actually fits who you are. Let's get started. Number 1, her thinking process isn't linear. Her thinking process isn't linear. It's layered like quantum loops. Most people think through things like walking down a straight path. One idea leads to the next step by step. But for the Sigma female, thinking isn't a straight line. It's more like moving through layers of invisible threads, all at once. Her mind doesn't say, first I'll feel, then I'll think, then I'll act. It does all of that together almost instantly. She can hear something as simple as a casual comment, and her brain will start running it through multiple filters at the same time. What was the tone? Why did they say it that way? What are they hiding? What does this remind me of? What will happen if I respond this way? This doesn't come from overthinking. It's just how her mind is wired. She notices emotional undercurrents while processing logic. She recalls similar past experiences while weighing possible outcomes. All of this happens before most people have even finished forming their first impression. For example, someone might ask her a question in a meeting. While others just answer quickly, her brain is scanning for intention. Is this question genuine, or is there a trap in it? What impact will my answer have later? Is it better to hold back or lean in? To outsiders, this pause might seem like she's distracted, but really, she's zooming in and out at the same time, seeing both the moment and the ripple effect. This way of thinking doesn't always make life easier. It can be overwhelming, but it also makes her incredibly sharp. People come to her when they need clarity, not just answers. She doesn't just solve problems. She untangles them in a world full of noise and speed. Her brain works like a quiet engine built for depth. She doesn't need to chase spotlight moments because she already sees the whole picture, not in a line, but in layers. And that's what makes her unforgettable. Number 2, her curiosity isn't cute, it's forensic. There's a kind of curiosity that's lighthearted and playful, the kind people use to make small talk or break the ice. But the Sigma female's curiosity isn't like that. Hers runs deeper, sharper. It's not about filling silence or being friendly. It's about figuring things out at the root. She doesn't ask questions just to connect. She asks to understand how things work, why people behave the way they do, and what might be hiding under the surface. Her mind treats information like pieces of a puzzle, and she doesn't stop until it fits. You might be telling her a story, and while you're focusing on the plot, she's listening to your tone, noticing what you skipped, and wondering why you jumped over certain details. She won't always press you, but if she does ask, it's not random. It's because something didn't sit right. This doesn't mean she's suspicious of everyone, but she's careful. Her questions often come from a place of protection. She knows that words can be used to distract or deceive, so she digs past them. Not aggressively, just precisely. Think about a job interview. Most people answer questions and try to make a good impression. She'll do that too. But she's also watching the people interviewing her. If one of them avoids eye contact or gives a vague answer, she'll make a mental note. If the company's values don't match their behavior, she'll see it. She's not just there to get accepted. She's there to assess. Even in everyday situations like meeting someone new, she notices patterns, not out of paranoia, but because she's wired to scan for truth, not appearances. That's what makes her curiosity so different. It's not loud. It's not for show. It's strategic. It helps her understand what's real and what's not. And that clarity, that's how she stays 5 steps ahead. Right now, if you are still watching, I hope this video can help you. Your comments motivate me so much, so I can make more videos which you like. So hit that subscribe button and leave me a message. Let's continue. Number 3. She gets more clarity through solitude than through advice. There's something powerful about a woman who doesn't need to talk everything out just to figure out what to do. While most people rush to ask for advice or weigh everyone's opinion before making a decision, the Sigma female does something different. She gets quiet. When she's unsure about something, she doesn't open 10 tabs in her mind by calling everyone she knows. Instead, she retreats, not to hide, but to hear herself think. Because deep down, she knows clarity doesn't come from collecting opinions. It comes from blocking out the noise. That's not to say she's closed off. She'll listen if you speak. She'll let people share their thoughts. But she rarely follows advice blindly. She filters it. She takes what makes sense and quietly tosses the rest. And the truth is, sometimes what others suggest makes perfect logical sense. But if it doesn't sit right with her, she won't follow it. Her brain just doesn't work that way. Imagine her faced with a big life choice like leaving a stable job or walking away from someone she once cared about. Friends might say, "You're overthinking it," or "Just give it more time." But while they talk, she's already pulling away to sit in silence and ask herself harder questions. Am I staying out of fear? Does this still feel right? What would I do if no one else had a say? And when the answer comes, it won't come with drama or explanation. It'll come with calm. Because that's the beauty of solitude. It clears the fog. She doesn't outsource her direction. She builds it from the inside out. Even when the world is loud and the pressure is real, she trusts her inner voice more than the crowd. That's how she stays aligned. That's how she moves with peace. And in a world addicted to noise, that kind of self-trust is rare and unstoppable. Number 4. Her instincts are tuned to what's not being said more than what's being shown. You ever talk to someone and something just feels off, even if their words sound right? Most people brush it off or ignore that gut feeling. But the Sigma female does the exact opposite. Her brain is trained to lean into it. She's not just listening to what's being said. She's reading what's being left out. Her mind naturally scans for what doesn't match. If someone is smiling, but their eyes look drained, she notices. If a person is being overly polite, but their body shifts like they're on edge, she picks that up, too. It's like her senses are always tuned into the emotional temperature of the room, even if nobody else is paying attention. Imagine sitting across from someone who keeps saying, "I'm fine," but their tone keeps dropping and their hands keep fidgeting. Most people would take the words at face value and move on, but not her. Her brain is already connecting the dots, not to overthink, just because she can't unsee the disconnect. She doesn't need dramatic scenes or loud arguments to know something's wrong. Sometimes it's the silence, a small pause, a flicker of hesitation, someone avoiding eye contact at a crucial moment. While everyone else is focused on what's being said out loud, she's already spotted the part that was hidden. That's why people sometimes feel nervous around her. Not because she's trying to be intimidating, but because she sees what they don't want noticed. And she doesn't always speak on it either. Sometimes she just files it away and adjusts her approach quietly. Her mind works like radar, constantly sensing what's under the surface. She might not say much in the moment, but trust this, she saw it. She caught it. And she'll never forget how it made her feel. That level of awareness is not loud, but it is powerful. Number 5. She can suppress emotional reactions, but not emotional awareness. Some people react the moment they feel something. Anger shows on their face. Excitement spills out in their voice. You always know what's going on inside, but the Sigma female, she's different. Her emotions don't jump to the surface. They sit with her quietly while she decides what to do with them. It's not that she doesn't feel deeply. She does. In fact, she might feel even more than most people. But she doesn't let those feelings take the wheel. Her mind is trained to pause, to observe, to hold space between reaction and response. Let's say someone disrespects her in front of others. She won't lash out. She won't make a scene, but her silence doesn't mean she missed it. She felt it. Not just the words, but the intent behind them. And instead of reacting on impulse, she takes her time. She remembers who said what. She remembers how it made her feel. She logs it in her mental vault. Then she adjusts quietly. She might draw a line, distance herself, or shift how she deals with that person going forward. And often the other person won't even know why things feel different. That's the thing. She doesn't give everyone access to her emotional reactions. She protects them like currency. She spends them wisely. This is what makes her seem unreadable. People expect expressions, dramatic moments, something obvious, but she doesn't play by that script. She's composed even when she's disappointed. She's calm even when she's furious. That doesn't mean she's bottling things up. It means she's in control. She lets her awareness guide her, not the intensity of the moment. She decides what deserves her reaction and what just needs a mental note and a quiet exit. That balance between feeling everything and showing almost nothing. That's not coldness. That's emotional precision. Number 6. She has no interest in being relatable, only in being real. There's a quiet power in someone who has no urge to blend in. The Sigma female doesn't walk into a room trying to match the vibe or win people over with charm. That's just not how her brain works. She doesn't adjust her personality depending on who's around. She doesn't shrink or stretch herself to make others feel comfortable. She simply shows up as she is, not because she's trying to make a statement, but because anything else feels fake. She doesn't see the point in being relatable. If it means watering herself down, you've probably seen it in action. Maybe everyone's laughing at a joke that crosses the line. She won't fake a smile just to avoid being the odd one out. If the vibe feels off, she won't force herself to stay. If the conversation lacks substance, she'd rather stay quiet than pretend to be interested. This kind of honesty can throw people off. Some think she's too serious. Others think she's hard to approach. But the truth is, she just doesn't see the value in playing social dress-up. Her mind doesn't filter her behavior through, will they like me? It filters through, is this true to who I am? And when you do talk to her, you'll feel it right away. No performance, no sugarcoating, just presence. She might not talk much, but when she does, it comes from somewhere real. This makes her rare. In a world where so many are busy editing themselves to be accepted, she's at peace with not being for everyone. She doesn't chase connection. She lets it happen naturally. If there's alignment, great. If not, she keeps moving. Because for her, being liked means nothing if it requires her to be someone she's not. What matters most is staying rooted in who she is, even if that means standing alone. Number 7. Her loyalty isn't emotional, it's intellectual. Loyalty for most people is driven by emotion. They stay close to someone because they've known them for years, shared laughs, or gone through tough times together. But for the Sigma female, it works differently. Her loyalty isn't based on history or how close you once were. It's based on something deeper. Alignment of values, mutual respect, and truth. She doesn't stick around just because she should. She stays where her mind feels safe, where the connection makes sense on a deeper level, where she doesn't have to question whether your words match your actions. That's what loyalty means to her. You could know her for 10 years, but if you start crossing lines she doesn't respect, she won't give you a pass just because of the past. On the other hand, she could meet someone new. And if that person is consistent, thoughtful, and real, she'll value that connection more than any long history with someone who no longer shows up with honesty. This isn't coldness. This is clarity. Think about a job, for example. Most people stay in roles they hate because they feel a sense of loyalty to the company. She won't. If the values shift, if the mission changes, or if integrity goes out the window, she's already planning her exit. Not out of bitterness, but because her mind knows when the alignment is gone. Same with friendships and relationships. She's not going to fight for something that's clearly no longer built on trust. Once intellectual trust is broken, once your actions show her that your words can't be trusted, she's out. No drama, no explanation, just done. Her loyalty isn't blind. It's sharp. It's measured. And when she gives it to you, it's solid. But once it no longer makes sense to her values or peace of mind, she'll walk away. Not because she doesn't care, but because she does about herself and what she chooses to honor. Number 8, she doesn't memorize rules. She reverse engineers them. Most people are taught to follow the rules, accept the system, and not ask too many questions. But the Sigma female doesn't work that way. Her mind isn't wired to memorize instructions and follow them blindly. She needs to know why something works, who it benefits, and what would happen if she did it differently. She doesn't just play the game. She studies how the game was built. In school, while others memorize formulas to pass a test, she wanted to know where the formula came from. At work, while most are focused on pleasing their boss, she's quietly watching how leadership decisions are made, how influence flows, and where real control sits. She breaks things down not because she's difficult, but because that's how her mind feels safe, through understanding, not obedience. Tell her this is just how it's done, and she'll start asking questions no one else thought to ask. Who made the rule? What's the logic behind it? Is it outdated? Who profits from it? Her curiosity isn't loud, but it's surgical. She takes systems apart in her head and puts them back together, only better. Imagine her walking into a workplace where the hierarchy is rigid and everyone accepts it without question. She won't cause a scene, but she will notice how power flows, how people are silenced, and how mediocrity is rewarded over innovation. And when the time comes, she'll either rise above it on her own terms or quietly build something that works better outside of it. This kind of thinking can be uncomfortable for people who benefit from things staying the same. But for her, staying in a system that makes no sense is harder than standing alone. She doesn't memorize the rules so she can win. She learns them so she can reshape the entire structure if she has to. And that makes her far more dangerous than someone who simply follows. Number 9, her ambition doesn't scream. It observes, plans, and executes in silence. Ambition is loud these days. Everyone's shouting about what they're building, posting every small win, announcing plans before they've even taken the first step. But the Sigma female doesn't move like that. Her drive doesn't need a spotlight. It runs deep and it runs quiet. She doesn't feel the need to tell the world what she's working on. Not because she's hiding, but because she's focused. While others are busy crafting a narrative, she's gathering real results. Her brain doesn't crave attention. It craves completion. She observes first. She studies the field, learns the patterns, watches the mistakes others make when they rush. Then she plans with care. Not in a rush to impress, but with clarity. She sets the vision in her mind, then gets to work. No broadcast, no hype. You might not even know she's building something until it's done. One day, it's just there, clean, finished, powerful, and people around her are left wondering when did she do all this. But she didn't need to update anyone along the way. She was too busy doing the real work. Think about it like this. Others throw pebbles into a lake just to hear the splash. She builds a bridge across it in silence. This is why her success often catches people off guard. It's not noisy. It's not fueled by validation or applause. It's calculated. Every move is intentional. And by the time others are still figuring out how to start, she's already finished, already pivoting to the next idea. Her ambition isn't driven by trends or comparison. It's rooted in something internal, something that doesn't burn out when no one's watching. So, when you don't hear much from her, don't assume she's not doing anything. Trust that she's paying attention, quietly, moving pieces behind the scenes. And when the time is right, the outcome will speak for itself. No speech needed, just undeniable results. Number 10, she's wired to detach from outcomes and focus on intention. Most people are glued to outcomes. They chase results. They get obsessed with winning, being chosen, or proving something. But the Sigma female operates differently. Her mind isn't fixated on how it ends. She's far more focused on why she's doing something in the first place and how she's doing it along the way. She doesn't step into situations thinking, what's in this for me? She asks herself, does this feel right? Is this aligned with who I am? That's what guides her, not the promise of praise or approval. If she starts a project, she's not chasing awards. She's focused on whether the work means something. If she's building a relationship, she's not aiming to lock someone down. She's paying attention to the connection itself, how it flows, how honest it feels. The outcome is never the goal. The process is. Let's say she applies for something, a position, a grant, a partnership. Of course, she puts her best effort into it, but if it doesn't work out, she doesn't spiral. She doesn't ask, was I not good enough? She reflects on what she learned. She asks if she stayed true to herself. That's the win for her. People don't always understand this. They might think she lacks drive, or that she's too relaxed about results. But the truth is, she's not emotionally tied to outcomes because she knows they don't always reflect effort, value, or truth. Her sense of worth isn't hooked on external rewards. What she really cares about is being intentional. Did she show up honestly? Did she move with integrity? Was she thoughtful in her actions? If the answer is yes, that's success to her. Whether or not the world claps, this mindset gives her a quiet kind of power. While others burn out chasing results they can't control, she stays steady, grounded, focused on the only thing she ever had full control over, herself. Number 11, she sees relationships as collaborations, not emotional contracts. For the Sigma female, relationships are never about filling a void or ticking boxes. She doesn't enter them with a checklist of emotional needs or expectations. Her mind doesn't work that way. She sees relationships as collaborations, spaces where two whole people come together to grow, build, and challenge each other. She's not looking for someone to constantly reassure her, flatter her, or babysit her feelings. That kind of emotional handholding feels draining, not comforting. She doesn't want to manage someone else's insecurities either. If a relationship starts feeling like emotional labor instead of mutual growth, she quietly steps back. This doesn't mean she's cold or detached. Quite the opposite. When she's in, she's fully present. She listens. She supports. But she expects the same in return. Not in a transactional way, but in a balanced one. She thrives in connections where both people are expanding mentally, emotionally, spiritually, not just surviving off each other's attention. Think of it like two people rowing a boat. She doesn't mind rowing hard, but if the other person drops their oar and expects her to carry both sides while they complain, she's done. She'll carry her share, but she won't drag someone who refuses to grow. She doesn't play emotional games either. If she needs space, she'll take it. If something feels off, she'll sense it before you even say a word. But she won't beg for effort and she won't settle for half connection. People used to quick emotional highs often don't understand her. They mistake her emotional independence for distance. But what they don't see is that she's building something deeper, something based on clarity, purpose, and mutual respect. She doesn't need someone to complete her. She needs someone who wants to evolve beside her. And if that's not what's on the table, she'll respectfully leave it untouched. Because for her, real connection isn't about being needed. It's about choosing to grow together consistently, honestly, and without pressure. Number 12. She gets more clarity through solitude than through advice. Most people need to talk things out when they're unsure. They reach for advice, gather opinions, weigh what others would do. But the Sigma female isn't wired like that. When something's weighing on her, she doesn't immediately turn to others for answers. She turns inward. She knows advice can be helpful, but it's not where her clarity comes from. In fact, too many voices just cloud her thinking. She listens, sure, she's open to perspective, but her final decision always comes from within. She might take a long walk by herself, journal in silence, or just sit in a quiet space until things start to make sense. Her clarity doesn't come from noise. It comes from space, stillness, solitude. Let's say she's dealing with a tough choice, maybe about ending a relationship or changing directions in her career. Friends might offer input. Some will say stay, others will say leave. But no matter how much she hears, none of it sticks until it matches what she already feels deep down. Her gut, her logic, her lived experience, that's her compass. This is why people sometimes mistake her silence for indecision. What they don't realize is that she's not frozen. She's processing. She's not looking for someone to tell her what to do. She's checking in with herself to make sure her next move is solid, not reactive. And when she does make that move, it might surprise everyone. It might go against the advice she was given, but it'll feel right to her because she didn't take a poll. She made peace with the decision herself. Her power comes from knowing that real clarity doesn't come from being told. It comes from being still enough to hear your own voice, even when the world is loud. That's her edge. That's her strength. And she wouldn't trade it for anything. The Sigma female doesn't operate on borrowed patterns. Her brain is wired to think deeper, feel smarter, and move with intention. She doesn't just go along with things because that's what everyone else is doing. She studies the system. She questions the norm. And she decides for herself. This kind of wiring makes her quiet, but never passive. It makes her careful, but never afraid. It gives her the ability to detach, but never ignore what matters. Her curiosity isn't for show. Her loyalty isn't automatic. Her choices are never random. Everything has weight. Everything has meaning. And in a world that often rushes people to choose sides, pick trends, or fake smiles just to keep the peace, she remains solid, honest, present. If you recognize these patterns in yourself, don't shrink. Don't try to fix what was never broken. The way you think is your power. Your silence has strength. Your questions have purpose. And your solitude isn't emptiness. It's where your real voice speaks the loudest. So, keep trusting that inner compass. Keep peeling back the layers others don't even notice. Keep building your life from the inside out because you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to lead in your own quiet, brilliant way. Stay true to yourself. To all the spicy ladies make life beautiful, thank you for watching and God bless.